Why did you unplug my
I
car?
was charging.
You left it. That makes it mine now, besides not sure how a person like you is able to afford an EV.
That's not how public chargers work, and how I'm able to afford the car doesn't concern you. Plug it back.
Step back. Now, we're done talking.
You're pulling a gun over a charger?
I said
Every witness described the same turning point. Not the shouting, not the insults, not even the unplugged vehicle. They said everything changed when the second driver stepped forward and told the first man he should have known better to leave his car there. That statement alone might not have meant much, but the tone did, the body language did. And when the argument escalated, multiple people backed away at the same time, before anyone actually saw the weapon. By then, the situation was already out of control. If you want to understand exactly how something this ordinary turned into something that serious, stay with the full breakdown and subscribe. What happened at that charging station didn't begin with shouting. It began with a routine stop that should have been uneventful. Earlier that afternoon, Darian Marcel Avery, 38, pulled into Riverbend Marketplace in Lakewood, Colorado, just after 3 p.m. He drove a fully electric sedan and had used that charging station several times before. As a commercial building systems technician, he spent most workdays moving between sites, tools in the trunk, schedule tight. Keeping his battery level stable wasn't optional, it was part of his work routine. The unit had 2 ports mounted on a single pedestal along the west parking row. Darian parked, stepped out, and reached for the first connector. The screen flashed an error the moment he tapped to activate it. He reset it once, same message. He checked the cable connection, tried again, still dead. He didn't linger on it, he simply moved to the second port. That one responded immediately. Green indicator, charging confirmed. He checked the time, estimated what he needed, then locked his car and headed toward the store entrance, carrying a short shopping list, groceries for the week, and a few replacement hand tools. Security cameras later showed that about 2 minutes after Darian disappeared inside, a dark gray pickup rolled slowly into the charging area and stopped at an angle behind the station. The driver remained inside for several seconds before stepping out. This was Trenton Wade Carver, 46, Regional Logistics Supervisor, according to employment records later confirmed. Witnesses would say he scanned the station first, then the vehicles around it, then focused specifically on the sedan connected to the working port. He walked around the pedestal once, pressed the screen, tested the unused connector. It failed, same fault Darian had encountered. He stepped back, hands on hips, staring at the charging cable running into Darian's car. One shopper passing by heard him mutter something under his breath. Another said he shook his head slowly, watching the store entrance like he was waiting for someone to come back out. But no one approached him, and he didn't leave. For the next several minutes, Trenton Wade Carver stayed near the charger, standing, pacing once, then stopping again, his attention fixed on the vehicle that had been there first. 30 minutes passed. Then Darian Marcel Avery, 38, came walking back toward the parking row, grocery bag in one hand, tool receipt in the other, unaware anything had changed. Darian slowed his pace before he even reached the charging row. Something looked off. From a distance, he could already see the cable angle wasn't right. The charging handle wasn't seated in his car's port anymore. It was stretched across the pavement toward a dark gray pickup backed in close to the pedestal. He stopped walking. For a moment, he just stood there holding the grocery bag, eyes moving from his unplugged charge port to the truck now connected to the only working outlet, to the man standing beside it like nothing unusual had happened. Darian approached at a normal walking speed. "Hey," he called out, not raising his voice. "That was plugged into my car." The man didn't respond immediately. He finished tapping something on the charger screen, then turned slowly. Up close, his expression wasn't confused or apologetic. It was flat. irritated. "That your vehicle?" the man asked, nodding toward the sedan. "Yes," Darian said. "It was charging." The man shrugged once. "Not anymore." Darian set his grocery bag carefully on the curb beside the pedestal. "Why would you unplug it?" The man gave a short breath through his nose like the answer should have been obvious. "You left it sitting here. I need the charge. That other port doesn't work." "I know it doesn't work. That's why I used this one. I got here first." The man's jaw shifted slightly. He looked Darian up and down, slow, deliberate, assessing. "You've been gone a long time," he said. 30 minutes, that's normal for charging." Another shrug, but sharper this time. "Well, you should have stayed with it." Darian frowned slightly, confused by the logic. "It's a public charger. People leave their cars all the time. That doesn't make it open." The man stepped closer again, closing some of the space between them. His voice dropped, tighter now. "You people always think the rules bend for you." Darian blinked once. "Excuse me?" The man didn't repeat himself, but he didn't soften it either. "If you wanted to keep it, you shouldn't have walked off like you owned the place." Darian straightened slightly. His tone stayed controlled but firmer. "I need you to unplug your truck and reconnect my car." The man didn't move, didn't even glance at the cable. Instead, he folded his arms slowly across his chest. "No," he said. A couple walking past slowed down, not stopping, just noticing. Darian exhaled once, steadying himself. "You disconnected my vehicle without permission. That's not okay." The man stepped closer again, close enough now that Darian could smell stale coffee on his breath. "Make it okay," he said. Behind them, a shopping cart clattered against metal as someone paused near the cart return, watching. The tension had changed. This wasn't just a disagreement anymore. Darian held his ground, but he didn't step closer. The space between them was already tight enough. He kept his voice controlled. "I'm asking you one more time, unplug your truck and reconnect my car." Trenton Wade Carver let out a short laugh, not amused, dismissive. "You don't get to tell me what to do," he said. Darian gestured toward the charger. "I was here first. My session was active. You shut it off and took the port. That's not how this works." Carver tilted his head slightly, studying him again, that same slow, measuring look, like he was deciding something. Then his mouth tightened. "You people always show up thinking everything belongs to you," he said. The words landed heavier this time. No muttering, no subtlety. Clear, direct. A woman walking past with a stroller slowed down just enough to hear the tone, then kept moving, glancing back once. Darian didn't react immediately. He let the silence sit for a moment before answering. "I don't know what that means," he said evenly, "but what I do know is you disconnected my vehicle without permission." Carver scoffed and looked around briefly, like he was searching for validation from anyone nearby. No one responded. A few people were watching now, not openly staring, but not ignoring it either. He leaned in slightly. "It means," he said, voice low and sharp, "you don't get special treatment out here." "I didn't ask for special treatment. I asked you to respect the order people arrived." Carver shook his head slowly, lips pressed thin. "No," he said, "you walked off like you owned the charger. That's entitlement." Darian gestured toward the dead port on the pedestal. "The other one doesn't work. I tested it. Anyone could see that." Carver's expression hardened. "Yeah, and I guess you figured that worked out just fine for you." The accusation hung in the air, irrational but deliberate. Darian didn't take the bait. "You could have waited. That's what people do." Carver's voice rose slightly. "I don't wait when somebody abandons equipment they're not even using." "I was using it. Charging takes time." "You left and came back," Darian replied immediately. That landed. Carver's jaw flexed. A teenage store attendant pushing a long row of carts slowed near the curb. On the far side of the parking row, someone had stopped loading groceries into a trunk. The attention was becoming visible. Carver noticed too. His posture changed, shoulders tightening, stance widening, like he was settling into the confrontation instead of trying to end it. You should have known better, walking off and expecting things to still be here when you get back. Darian's eyes narrowed slightly. Expecting basic respect isn't unreasonable. Carver leaned closer again, voice dropping almost to a whisper. Depends who's asking for it. The implication was unmistakable. A phone appeared in someone's hand near the cart return, held low at first, not obvious, but pointed toward them. Darian saw it from the corner of his eye. The moment was shifting again. More people were watching now, and Carver looked like he didn't care who heard him anymore. Carver noticed the phone first. His eyes shifted past Darian's shoulder, locking onto the person recording near the cart return. The change in his posture was immediate, not retreating, not embarrassed, sharper, more rigid. He straightened, then spoke louder. "Yeah, go ahead," he said, raising his voice just enough for the bystanders to hear. "Record it. Show everybody how this works now." No one responded. The teenager with the carts stopped moving entirely, hands resting on the metal handle. The woman with groceries stood beside her trunk, door still open, watching without pretending not to. Darian kept his voice steady. "Nobody wants a problem. Just unplug your truck so I can reconnect my car." Carver ignored the request. Instead, he took a slow step sideways, not away, but circling slightly, positioning himself between Darian and the charging pedestal. Territorial, possessive. "You leave your car sitting here," Carver said, projecting now, like he was explaining something obvious to an audience. "That's not how the world works." "That's exactly how public chargers work. First come, first served." Carver gave a tight smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Yeah, that's what you think." Another pause. Wind pushed a loose receipt across the pavement between them. Nobody moved to pick it up. Darian shifted his weight slightly but stayed where he was. "You don't get to decide rules based on who you feel like respecting." That sentence landed harder than anything else he'd said. Carver's expression changed, irritation sharpening into something colder. His jaw tightened, nostrils flaring once. "You people always want to turn everything into a moral lesson." The words were louder now, clear enough that no one nearby could mistake what he meant. Darian didn't raise his voice. "I want you to reconnect my car." Carver stepped forward suddenly, close enough that Darian instinctively held his ground but stopped speaking. The distance between them was now less than an arm's length. "You don't tell me what to do," Carver said, quietly but with an edge that carried. The phone near the cart return lifted higher, no attempt to hide it anymore. A second phone appeared near the grocery trunk. Carver saw both, and something about that attention seemed to flip a switch. He turned his head slightly, scanning the small crowd forming at the edges of the charging row. His breathing looked heavier now, shoulders rising and falling more noticeably. Then he looked back at Darian. Slowly, deliberately, he took one step backward toward his truck door. His right hand moved down along his side, then disappeared briefly inside the open driver's door. Darian noticed immediately. His posture changed, not aggressive, not confrontational, but alert. "Hey, there's no need for that." Carver didn't answer. His hand came back into view, and in it was a handgun. Not raised, not pointed, but visible, solid, unmistakable. A sharp intake of breath came from somewhere behind them. The teenager abandoned the carts completely. No one spoke for a full second. Carver held the weapon low near his thigh, eyes locked on Darian's face. "Now," he said, quietly, "we're done talking about the charger." No one moved. The entire charging row had gone silent except for the faint electrical hum from the pedestal and the distant sound of traffic moving along the main road beyond the plaza. Darian's eyes stayed on the handgun, then slowly returned to Carver's face. He didn't raise his hands dramatically or step back fast. He just shifted his stance slightly, controlled, careful, deliberate. "Put that away," he said calmly. "This doesn't need to go any further." Carver didn't respond right away. His grip on the weapon looked firm but not trained, fingers tight, wrist slightly stiff. He wasn't aiming, but he wasn't hiding it either. The display was intentional, a warning, a message. "You should have thought about that," Carver said, voice low, steady, "before you started telling me what I can and can't do." Behind Darian, someone whispered, "Oh my God." Another voice, hushed but urgent, "Call 911." The sound of hurried footsteps moved away across the pavement. Darian kept his tone level. "You're threatening me over a charging space." Carver's jaw tightened. "I'm making sure you understand something." "What?" asked Darian. He leaned slightly forward, not enough to close distance, but enough to make the gesture personal. "You don't run things here," he said. "You don't walk off and expect everything to stay yours, not around me." The emphasis wasn't just territorial, it carried the same underlying hostility that had been building since Darian returned, the same targeted resentment, the same need to assert control specifically over him. Darian noticed Carver's breathing, faster now, chest rising harder, eyes scanning between Darian and the people watching. The attention was getting to him. More phones were visible. Someone stood partially behind a parked SUV recording openly. The teenager who had been pushing carts was now several yards away, speaking quickly into his own phone, voice shaking. Darian spoke again, slower this time. "You're probably being recorded. Police are already being called. You don't want this to get worse." For the first time, Carver's eyes flicked beyond Darian, noticing just how many people were watching now, not just glancing, watching carefully, documenting. His jaw flexed. "They don't know the whole story," he muttered. "They can see enough," Darian replied. Another pause stretched between them. The air felt tight, like everyone present was holding the same breath. Then Carver shifted his weight and adjusted his grip on the handgun, lowering it slightly, but still keeping it visible. Not backing down, just recalculating. From somewhere near the storefront entrance, a loud voice called out, "Sir, put the weapon down." A uniformed private security guard had emerged from the direction of the hardware store, stopping several yards away, hands visible, posture cautious but firm. Carver didn't turn toward him, didn't acknowledge the command. His eyes remained locked on Darian, and in the distance, faint but unmistakable, the rising sound of approaching sirens began to echo across the parking lot. The sirens grew louder, no longer distant, no longer uncertain. Everyone in the charging row heard them clearly now. Carver heard them too. His eyes shifted for the first time away from Darian and toward the sound approaching from the main entrance road. The change in his posture was subtle but visible. His shoulders tightened, his grip adjusted again. The private security guard took another cautious step forward. "Sir," he repeated, voice firm but controlled. "Put the weapon down. Police are on the way." Carver didn't respond immediately. He looked around at the people watching, really seeing them now. Multiple phones raised, some steady, some shaking, all pointed at him, recording everything. His breathing grew heavier, not explosive anger, something closer to pressure closing in. Darian spoke carefully, still calm, still measured. "This is over a charger," he said. "That's all this ever was. Don't make it more than that." Carver's jaw tightened again, but something had shifted. The tension that had been pushing outward was now turning inward, calculating consequences. The sirens were close enough now that the first patrol vehicle could be seen turning into the marketplace entrance. That did it. Carver lowered the handgun further, not dropping it, but no longer presenting it. He looked once more at Darian, expression hard, resentful, but no longer advancing. Then, slowly, he set the weapon on the open edge of his truck bed. The security guard exhaled audibly. Several bystanders stepped farther back. One person whispered, "Thank God." Within seconds, 2 Lakewood police cruisers pulled into the charging row. Officers exited quickly, issuing clear verbal commands, securing the weapon, separating both men, and collecting statements from witnesses who had already documented most of the encounter in real time. But the situation didn't end in that parking lot. Multiple videos from different angles were uploaded within hours. Clear audio, clear faces, clear sequence of events. The unplugged vehicle, the confrontation, the threats, the weapon. By the next morning, Trenton Wade Carver's employer, North Range Freight Solutions, had been contacted repeatedly. By afternoon, the company released a public statement confirming an internal review. By the following day, his employment was terminated. Witness footage continued circulating for weeks. For Darian Marcel Avery, what began as a routine charging stop became a nationally shared example of how quickly entitlement, hostility, and racial bias can escalate when someone decides rules don't apply to them. And according to every person who saw it unfold, the moment everything truly changed wasn't the shouting. It was the decision to bring a weapon into something that never should have become a confrontation at all. If you want more story breakdowns like this, moments that start ordinary and spiral into something no one expects, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. New stories drop regularly, and every one of them examines what really happens when everyday situations cross the line. Stay informed, stay aware, and we'll see you in the next one.